He expected you to explain yourself. He expected you to spend days trying to prove your innocence. What he never expected was your silence. That silence became the mistake that exposed everything he had been hiding. The day he started accusing you, it felt like the ground disappeared beneath your feet. You trusted him, you loved him, you believed that no matter what happened, he would not at least be fair, he would not betray you. Instead, he sat across from you and began listing things you supposedly did wrong. Things that made no sense, things that sounded more like excuses than real problems. At first, you tried to understand. Can you tell me exactly what I did? You asked calmly. But every answer led to another accusation, every explanation changed, every complaint contracted the other before it. The conversation felt strange, not because he was angry, but because it seemed like he wasn't interested in finding the truth. He was only interested in making you look guilty. Then something unexpected happened. You stopped arguing. You stopped defending yourself. You stopped trying to convince someone who had already made up his mind. You simply listened. And the longer you listened, the more he talked. What he didn't realize was that every new sentence exposed him. When someone is telling the truth, the story usually becomes clear. When someone is hiding something, the story becomes more complicated than night. He kept talking. One moment, he said you were too independent. A few moments later, he complained that you depended on him too much. He said you didn't care about him enough. Then he accused you of caring too much and being controlling. Nothing matched, nothing made sense. Then he spoke. Then he spoke. The more obvious it became that it was never about your behavior, it was about his. Weeks later, the truth finally surfaced. There was another woman, not someone new, not someone who appeared after the problem started. She had been there long before accusation began. Suddenly, something made sense. The constant criticism, the argument that came from nowhere, the way he seems distant to find the way he seems determined to find fault that didn't exist. He wasn't trying to solve problem. He wasn't trying to create reasons just to justify decision he had already made. And the saddest part was that he thought you would help him do it. He thought you would cry, beg, and defend yourself, so that people would see that he was right. But your silence ruined the plan, because when you stop defending yourself, people start paying attention to him. His family noticed, his friends noticed, even people who barely knew the situation noticed. They began asking simple questions. If she was really the problem, why do your stories keep changing? If she was so terrible, why can't you give one clear example? Why are you blaming her for everything? Those questions made him uncomfortable, not because they were unfair, because they were accurate. For months, he had controlled the narrative. Now, people were looking closer, and what they found wasn't the woman he described. They found someone who had spent years trying to make the relationship work, someone who had stayed through difficult seasons, someone who had kept showing up even when her efforts were ignored. Meanwhile, his actions were becoming impossible to hide. The relationship he refused, the relationship he rushed into started showing cracks. The excitement faded. Reality arrived, and for the first time, he had nothing left to blame. One evening, a mutual friend told you something that stayed with you forever. She said, the moment you stopped defending yourself was the moment it started exposing himself. That sentence changed everything because you finally understood something powerful. Not every accusation deserves a response, not every attack deserves a defense. Sometimes people create confusion because they are trying to distract others from the truth. Sometimes they point fingers because they they desperately hope nobody will look at them. And is sometimes the greatest mistake a dishonest person can make is talking too much. Years later, you realize this story was never about him. It was about you finding your strength. You discovered that your value was not determined by someone else's opinion. You learned that people who truly know you, who truly knew your character, do not abandon you because of one person's accusation. And most importantly, you learned that truth does not need constant protection. Lies demand endless explanation. Truth survives on its own. He expected you to spend your energy defending yourself. Instead, you protected your peace. He expected you to fight for approval. Instead, you walked away with dignity. And in the end, while he was busy trying to prove you were the problem, he revealed exactly who he was. That was the truth he never intended anyone to see. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, please subscribe, click on the notification button, like and share. And to my subscribers, you know I love you so much. Thank you, God bless you, and see you in my next episode.